Well, good morning to our Facebook family and friends that are joining us today for our Sunday celebration. We just finished singing Karen Drucker's song, The Face of God. And I invite you to just take a few minutes to look around the screen and see the face of God that is expressing. And for those of you who are joining us in our Facebook family, know that you're welcome because you too are the face of God. We pause this morning to remember the bombing that took place in France a few days ago and to just acknowledge the unrest and other activity that is going on in the world. And we pray for world peace, remembering that peace begins within each and every one of us. And I saw this message that was posted on the internet regarding the bombing in France, and I'd like to share that with you. It is a message of condemnation and condolences on the murders in France. And it reads, every human was created as worthy and every human life is sacred no matter what their beliefs. Taking human life so lightly cannot be reconciled with neither humanity nor Islam. Besides, regardless of its purpose, cruelty and violence cannot be reconciled with neither humanity or Islam. And even if such violence is perpetrated with a religious guise, it contradicts the core values of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, always responded to those who insulted and harassed him with compassion and gentleness. And he strove to eliminate enmity. And so I think that this is a great model for us to offer and to follow the teachings of the prophet, to respond with compassion and gentleness. And I know it's a challenge. It is a challenge, but it is a higher calling that we're called to share. Some of you have been inquiring about my move and about the change of scenery that was going to be on the background, anticipating, along with myself, my new residence in Monterey. And so what you see is my empty bookcase this morning with just my essential everyday go-to books that are behind me. Those go in my box, which I call the everything box. And that's the first box that I open up when I arrive at my new location, is the everything, because only God knows what's in that box. And so just a little share about what's going on with the move. I received confirmation from the management company that my apartment would be available on November the 5th. And so I'm thinking the 5th is a Friday. And I go, okay, that's good. Well, I'll drive down to Monterey on Sunday, the 8th, and stay overnight, do the service from the sanctuary, stay overnight, get the key and do my own personal inspection, because as a part of COVID-19, the management company is no longer doing inspections with the potential resident. Their inspector goes through and makes a list of whatever it is that needs to be noted. And then I follow through, and if there's anything that I may have a different perspective on from the management company, then I make a note next to that particular box on the form. This is something new for me. But anyway, I'm thinking, okay, I can go down on the 8th, and then I can handle all that on the 9th, and then I'll be ready to move on the 10th. Again, thinking that the 5th was a Friday. Well, I came on, I looked at the calendar, and I realized the 5th was a Thursday. And I go, oh, well, I can drive down Friday, get the key, take a few things that I want to have in the apartment, in the car that I don't want to put on the van to move down. And then I can have the movers come and move me on Saturday, and then I'll be all set. Well, I sent a note to the movers, and they said, sorry, we have a commitment on Saturday, so we can't do it. So I said, okay, well, what about Sunday after service? Yeah, I'm really trying to rush this process. And they said, no, we can't do it. We can't do it. Well, Sunday may be a possibility for us to do that. And so then I started thinking about this and I asked myself, what's the rush? What's the rush? I know you're excited to be in the new location, but what is the actual rush? And so I sent a note back to the movers and I said, let's leave everything set as the 10th. And that way it just takes stress off of me, it takes stress off of you. Given the time change, if we try and do it on Sunday after service, it's going to be dark by the time we reach Monterey. I'll just do the whole thing. So I can create my own comedy show all by myself. And so this weekend, we are celebrating Halloween, All Saints, and All Souls Day, October the 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd. And as I was looking at this, I was thinking about the idea that there's a symbolism in the number of three. And so I wrote about this in my weekly article in the newsletter. So I invite you to read that. And if you're not currently subscribing to the newsletter, you may do so by going to our website, www.montereycsl.org, and clicking on the subscribe button. Last week, as we were ending out our October series, I introduced the phrase, God is like. And our theme for last week was building bridges that last. And so when we look at what God is like, we look at a variety of areas in our life. And the one that came through for me, and this also was related to my move, it's like God is like hot sauce. A little dash will really spice up your life. And then we said, God is like a mirror. By looking at ourselves, we identify places where more truth is to be revealed. Remember, Dr. Holmes teaches us that there is nothing to be healed, only the truth to be revealed. And so the life mirror offers us these opportunities to look at our own selves and see where more truth can be revealed. God is like our glorious imperfections that make us utterly divine. God is like the guide points along our life way, expressing as connections with one another. God is like the divine appointment we have with each other and in unity with each other. And so this week we launch our November series, Living as Compassionate Conduits. The theme for today is divine authority to choose. We each have the divine authority to choose. Often people speak of God's will as the old anthropomorphic deity that is sitting somewhere up in the sky, that is guiding and choosing and leading us, when in truth, that spirit that dwells within each and every one of us, is saying yes to each of the choices that we make. Spirit is giving up itself to itself by expressing itself through us, and it accepts the choices that we make. And it just says yes to whatever that we say it is that we desire in our life. It says yes to the ways that we choose to be compassionate with ourselves. It says yes to our choices for self-care. It says yes to our integrity. It says yes to our goodness. And so I ask, how are we demonstrating our divinity in the choices that we make each day? How is our divinity showing up in our choices? In our Science of Mind teaching, we recognize that choice is an essential part of the power in each individual. By choosing how to think and what to do from wisdom and compassion, we're always choosing, or we remember to choose from wisdom and compassion. And that is how we actualize our potential more fully. There is no belief developed and there's no action taken without choice. We are always at choice. I remember when I first began my career working in the insurance industry, I was learning about contracts. And there are all of the different elements to a contract. And this applies in other areas where we are negotiating agreements with another. And one of the things that my trainer, as I was learning the business, said to me, all contracts can be renegotiated. And it's something that has stuck with me, and I've used it throughout my life experiences. All contracts can be renegotiated. And the same applies to the choices that we make in our life. Our choices can be renegotiated. We change our thinking, we change our life, we invite new choices into our life experiences. And as we begin this process from the level of conscious awakening, we direct our, our lives with our authentic selves. We become our authentic creations. Raymond Charles Barker writes this in The Power of Decision. All intelligence abides in your subconscious and awaits your call upon it. You may say you do not know what to do, but at the center of your mind, it is, it is the very clear decision that you should make. It is right there. At the very center of our mind is that very clear decision for us to make. And all we have to do is trust our heart, trust our soul, trust our being, trust the process of the Spirit revealing itself through us and as us, knowing that the right choices are always there. Every choice should be made from both wisdom and compassion, as I have indicated before, because they are two wings on the same bird. Wisdom and compassion are two wings on the same bird. How we make our choices that engage the wisdom of the divine, and at the same time, the way we incorporate compassion. We do this through a consistent spiritual practices that support us to cultivate the qualities within ourselves to express both, to express them habitually and intentionally. This is the place that we want to get to, is that we are choosing from our higher self, we are choosing from authenticity, that this becomes our automatic response rather than the backup response, if you will. Our goal is to bring forth what is already within us to awaken our true power, our true love, our true wisdom, and our true joy by focusing our minds on wise and compassionate choices. And as we recognize our spiritual identity, we are empowered to cultivate within ourselves the awareness that our consciousness influences the whole. One of my spiritual teachers coined the phrase, our consciousness makes a difference. And I have found this to be very true in our life. Our consciousness influences the whole. At the same time, we consider the whole with real compassion. And the underlying theme here to remember is that the choices that we make elegant choices, and those choices are based in compassion. It's another way of inviting us to be aware of the impact of our intent. We can have very good intentions, and the impact may be different from what our intention is. So it's to be mindful of all of that. We are called to choose higher. And as this thought came to me, I remembered an incident with my late wife and I. We were furniture shopping. And I don't remember what room we were shopping for. It might have been our family room. All I know, we were in a furniture store. And we were not agreeing on what we wanted. I had my idea of what would look nice. She had her idea of what would look nice. And I momentarily forgot, yes, dear. And so out of desperation, I turned to the salesperson and, it's like, hey, can you help a brother out here? Can you lend a little helping hand and side with me? That's what I was really asking. And the salesperson literally took a step back and said, my dog ain't in this fight. And that has resonated with me. And so I think about those times where challenges present themselves, and I have to ask, as I think higher, as I choose higher, I have to ask, does my dog need to be in this fight? Am I giving away my power by participating in something that really is not my choice? And so I am learning to sit back and be the observer and to just watch God work it out without any intervention of my own. And trust me, that is a wonderful place to be. And of course, my wife's choice did prevail, just so that you know that. Um, our power of choice is innate within us. We either use it consciously or unconsciously. And I'd like to share the story with you that I read. It's titled Giving Away Our Power, Rep, Re, Giving Away Our Power, Repressing the Inner Voice. And it asks the question, how often do we give away our power on a daily basis by not listening to our own voice of knowing? In many ways, we are taught from the time we are children to give away our power to others. We were told to kiss and hug relatives or friends of the family when we really didn't want to. And we began learning to override our inner sense of knowing and our right to determine for ourselves what we want to do. And I remember when both our grandchildren came along and the great grandchildren came along, sometimes the family would want them to say goodbye or to give us a kiss or to give us a hug as either we were arriving or as we were leaving. And as they were developing their own personalities, there were times where they just didn't want to be bothered. It's like, I'm in my own little world, leave me be. And I would say to my family, don't force them. And keep in mind, these are the same little infants that I held while they were sleeping. And family has some really nice candid pictures of me and either a grand or a great grand just zoned completely out on the couch. So I'm remembering in my mind, okay, I held you as an infant. And I also have the wisdom to know that you're developing your own personality. So don't force them into doing something that they don't want to do. However, this repression continues most likely in experiences that we have at school and situations at work. And often we get to the point that our inner power has been repressed so much, our inner voice has been repressed so much that we don't recognize that we're giving it away. It has become automatic and ingrained. Frequently, giving our energy to other people is considered part of the social contract. You have to go along to get along. We feel that we have to do it in order to survive. We come to believe this exchange of energy may be a way to preserve our inner integrity and stability. It begins in small ways by listening to the outer voice that continues to tell us what we want, no matter how many times we attempt to override its message. And that is because we have repressed our inner voice to the point that the outer voice is the one that is speaking the loudest. Here's some other examples of how we give away our power. We do so by buying into trends, letting other people make choices for us, not voting, not participating in the activities in the life of our communities, not voicing an opinion when an inappropriate joke is made. And there are many other ways, and I'm sure you can think of some as we go along. The good news, and this is what I always look for in stories, is the good news. The good news to share with you is that as we build a relationship with our inner power and follow it, we realize we don't always have to do what we're being asked to do by others, and we don't have to jump onto every trend. All we have to do is to have the confidence to listen to our own voice, to let it guide us so that we make our own decisions in life and remember the necessity for balance. And this is the key in listening to our voice. It is the key in being compassionate with ourselves and being compassionate with others. It is to learn that place of balance or that place of harmony in our lives where we are at peace with ourselves. Ernest Holmes writes this in the Beverly Hills Lectures. The moment you step out of the ordinary ranks, the moment you step out of the procession that moves endlessly down the aisle, you are in the spotlight of evolution. Your own choice has decided you, and you are no longer going to think as others. You're in the spotlight of your own evolution, and the choices that you decide are no longer the choices that others think for you and decide for you. Reclaiming our power with compassionate love for ourselves. And so, as I move to conclusion and a call for action this morning, I invite us to commit to our own growth by loving ourselves enough to be our personal best. Are you willing to commit to that? To loving yourself enough to be your personal best, to always choose higher. Let us recognize the natural ability to choose within us and continue to use our power regardless of what the conditions are around us. Let us say yes to choice over and over again. I say yes to my own choice over and over again. And Gary Zukov, in his collection of quotes, offers this: choice is the engine of evolution. If you choose unsatisfactorily, you will evolve unconsciously. If you choose consciously, you will evolve consciously. The power of choice is the greatest gift that you have been given, second only to the gift of life itself. And so we have the divine authority to choose the direction of our own lives. And we do this with the support of community. We do this with the support of our practitioner. We do this with the support of our spiritual practices. And we all emerge as compassionate beings, making a difference in the world. Let us pray together. How good it is to be in this place of compassionate choice, knowing that the life that I live is the life of God, the only life, the only power, the only presence. And as the life I live, as I know and embrace this truth for myself, I know it and embrace it for each one that's a part of this celebration this morning with the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. It is the life of each one that has joined us on Facebook Live, those who are viewing us now, and those who will be viewing this at different points throughout the week. How good it is to know that the choices that I make are always elegant choices. And when I may have missed the mark or have made a choice that doesn't respond to my higher being, I can always choose again. I can always choose again because the indwelling spirit within me is absolutely all that there is. As I continue to bless our time together, I bless other places where people are joining together, heart to heart, along the pathway of life that is leading to a higher choice and a destination for their highest and best well-being. I know that there are many paths to the one source, and collectively, we join together in consciousness, recognizing the validity of each path. and we seek peace within our own selves and peace within our own hearts. Because when there is peace in my mind, when there is peace in my life, then there is peace in the world. I say yes to the request that we hold in our hearts for prayer, the request that we're asking divine guidance for direction, for choices, and to listen with the inner ear, to listen with the inner ear. I had a recent experience of passing by a chair. And there was an item that I was wanting to release, and I was waiting for direction of where to release it and when to release it. And I passed by the chair, and the item said, "Take me." And that was evidence of my listening. And so as we listen with that inner ear, as we listen to the divine spark of wisdom within each and every one of us, we make those choices that bring us to that place of recognizing that God is truly all that there is. And so for this and so much more, I give thanks. And I release this word, I release this prayer into the activity of the law, which always says yes. And I recognize the demonstrations that are occurring even now. And so for this and so much more, I give thanks, allowing it to be so. And so it is. And now it is our time for gracious giving to participate in the flow of life. And we have a prosperity statement. This is our affirmation of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible substance as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And as we participate in the circulation, in the law of circulation, we have identified on the screen ways for you to contribute to the center by mail, through our website, or through text to give. And for those of you who are joining us via Facebook, I do invite you to subscribe to our newsletter, because we will begin our fall prosperity consciousness class, the 40-day abundance plan. We will be kicking that off on November the 13th, which is the third Sunday. The book we will be using is The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. And I invite you, I welcome you to participate and join in us with that. So we have our grateful song